Could have been a kid tied up in a closet. I don't know.
Wow. I'm glad I don't have kids if that's what you think about me.
Yeah, it's like mommy's got a work call. Go in the closet. I've seen some of that this week.
Podcast.
So literally I was on a coaching call with one of my groups, and the lady was in her car in the minivan, doors locked, so she could take the call in peace because the house was just like crazy. So
oh my God.
Wow.
and then I saw like 20 minutes later, she was in the Facebook group for the coaching group.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm still in the van. I'm actually getting some work done out here. So she just stayed in the van. She may sleep there tonight. I don't know.
Maybe there's more peace out there. Be one with the minivan.
Yes. So, all right, Jonathan, I will let you kick us off.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool, and we have a returning guest with us. All right.
She still gets an applause.
Still gets an applause. All right.
You've been on here before.
And you hit the right button that time. I'm impressed. Your skills are ever improving.
Ever improving.
So we have Dr. Michelle Mazur on the line, on the Zoom with everybody else in the world that is now on Zoom. So welcome, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this on the last one. Is Mazur, what is that? Is that French?
I'm Polish. It's actually Mazur like laser. It's less fancy.
Mazur.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Mazur because we like saying
I know.
It like that.
I'm 100%. Well, I'm 95% Polish. Like my father's side of the family is like 100% Polish. Like my grandmother was from Poland. So.
Isn't that kind of attached to France? I mean, I don't know my European
No,
geography.
not at all. Not even close.
Oh, well.
More attached to Germany.
Okay. Well, I failed history probably at some point in my life, I guess.
I think Germany. Close to Russia, though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
That's like geography.
Your geography is correct.
Yeah. That's like asking somebody in Europe to name the states and locations of states. Like they can't do it either. So
yeah.
I don't feel bad.
All right. So we got that. We got Mazur.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So if for our longtime listeners, this was the episode about the 3-word rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was scrolling the Facebooks recently this week, I saw a post that you did, Michelle, that really caught my attention and had some, the big question was, should we be changing our messaging, changing our 3-word rebellion kind of statements and things like that because of everything that's going on? Is this that kind of shift that requires a shift in messaging? And so I want to go into that and a couple other things on this episode. But before we do, let's talk beverages.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so why don't we let our guest, since she has a beer today.
Yes. I also have a cat. If you're watching on the live stream, my cat loves Zoom. He always shows up. There's nothing I can do. But yes, I am drinking today Elysian Split Shot, which is an espresso milk stout from Elysian Brewing and here in Seattle, Washington.
That sounds amazing.
Talking our language.
I'm telling you, that's some good. So go ahead and pour it. Are you drinking out of the can?
I'm just going to drink it out of the can.
All right. I like that. I like that.
We wanted to see what it looked like. We wanted to see that.
It's a stout. It's like a dark,
it's a
creamy, milky stout. Yes.
All right.
So is that one of your favorites, like your go-tos?
Yes, I love this one. Like this is because it's a nice, it has like a coffee taste to it. It's a nice espresso. Yeah, because that's why it's called Split Shot, because it has like espresso coffee in it. I think it's Stumptown coffee that they put in it. But yes.
Stumptown.
What's the ABV on that sucker?
Oh gosh, I think is it 8%? That's a really good question. Oh, it's only 6%.
Okay. All
so
right.
it's not as, which is nice, because some of these, I went to Fort George Brewing down in Astoria before all of this happened, and they have the Festival of the Dark Arts, which is all dark beer, a day-long dark beer festival, and that's all like 8%, 9%, 12,
Nice.
13. Yeah, so that was an intense day of beer drinking.
Yeah, and makes for a rough next day too. For sure.
Yes.
Depending on how many you have.
Yeah. So Jonathan, we need to put that on the world tour if we ever get around to doing a world tour.
So
Might have to make it a virtual tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
For at least the next month, right?
Yeah. So
year.
So let's see. Where were we?
Right.
Oh yeah. Jonathan, I'll let you go next with your beer because I've got kind of a kind of beer. So I'm not sure. I'm afraid I'm gonna get booed off the set.
Uh-oh. You might get a laugh track.
I might. So I'll let you go first though. All
right. Welcoming back a little Highland Brewing. So this one is the Gaelic L. So I don't think we've had this one, and I just spilled it on my mixer. Oh, crap.
Oh, man.
Jason, can you give me a... So, yeah, I just spilled it, and if this thing goes berserk, then you'll know that our equipment is completely fried. But this is let me pull this up here. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hold it up a little higher. I can't see it.
Oh, wait. Just hit a button. So, do you see that?
Yep.
I don't have the camera on yet.
Gaelic ale.
This is a deep amber colored American ale featuring rich malty body. Isn't every ale, isn't every beer, doesn't every beer have a malty body?
It should. But I mean, there's only so many words to describe beer. I mean, what do you like? You just can only rearrange them so many times. It's that's why you gotta have cool stuff, cool labels and stuff.
Kind of looks like a little whiskey there, but it's got a nice little color.
Yeah,
a nice thick head. But I love, for whatever reason, I haven't had anything from Highland Brewing that's bad. So
yeah,
I don't know, I'm gonna have to have I'll let you go first, and then I'll have my first sip of this.
Yeah, so I went with, I don't know why I picked this up. It just called out to me last week when I was doing my shopping. But I went with a Not Your Father's root beer. I don't know, maybe I'm feeling childish today or something, nostalgic for root beer. But it's the Not Your Father's root beer. It's a 5.9% alcohol. I don't know that this could actually be considered a beer. It's more like a...
Wait, root beer?
Yeah, it's a Not Your Father. So it's alcoholic root beer. So
I've actually had that one before. It's good.
Yeah, it is good. I think I've had it in the past. I've never had it on the show. Like, I like it, but I don't know if it's show worthy. That was the dilemma that I was facing all week, and I've been nervous about bringing it out the whole week because I know we'll probably get comments and hate mail because I'm drinking Not Your Father's root beer instead of beer. But it's
if you're sending hate mail, it's Sean Cool at gmail.com.
I don't know whose ad is, so you can send it there. I wish it was mine, but I was not that early to the Gmail game. Yeah, just it looks like root beer. So it's not really exciting. No head. I could go get a scoop of ice cream from downstairs.
There you go.
That would make it. Maybe I'll do that for the next episode.
All right, Jason, what are you having over here? So I'm going to have to hold. Do you have your can over there?
I don't, but it's okay. It's one of my favorites, and Sean doesn't have to worry about getting criticized because IPAs aren't really a man's.
Oh, that's even worse.
But yeah, exactly.
That's even worse on this
Let me see that
show.
For a second.
In my defense, I did try and buy a.
Go ahead.
A more
appropriate
beer
Sean.
for the podcast, but they were all warm. So, anyways, it's from Wicked Weed Brewing Company in Asheville, which is where they started, and I actually went there a few months ago, and they have so many local breweries that are amazing. But this is a Wicked Weed Lieutenant Dank. ABV, right. I think, is 8.3.
Wow.
It's a bit more piney.
Did you say like Lieutenant Dank?
Lieutenant Dank. Yeah.
Lieutenant
so very
Dank.
Hoppy. A little low on the piney side. Finish is pretty clean. So that's it. So Sean, you're off the hook.
All right, I appreciate that.
I don't know about that. You are having a root beer.
It does taste really good though. It's
okay. All right.
It's like drinking candy.
All right.
It actually does taste like those root beer barrels. The hard candies. That's what it tastes like. So it's really good. All right.
Well,
so let's
this one is nothing
Nothing?
special.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry to hear that. Womp womp womp.
So
Don't
we
you have
need
one
to
of
start
those?
doing like ratings on here, like a 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And if this were getting a 1 to 10, this would probably get like a 5.5.
Okay. Just
Most
over
of Highland
5.
Brewing would be like 8.5 and above. But
Yeah.
This is nothing special.
Man, bad day at the office, I guess. You know,
Yep.
Everybody's got them. Or
I need to come up with a 3-word for this one.
not that great.
Not that great.
Not that great.
All right. Well, speaking of 3-word rebellions, let's talk about, as we're recording this, we are in the middle of the end of the world. And that's a 4-word, end of the world. End of the world.
That's all right.
It's close though. And like I said, Michelle, I was going over you've popped up in my Facebook feed and I saw you talking about, should we be taking another look at our messaging during this time? Because it does feel like there's been a very significant shift to like consumer behavior, consumer focus, like all kinds of stuff. So tell us a little bit about that post, why you posted it, and kind of what your feeling is on it.
Yes. Well, it's interesting being in Seattle because we were kind of the early adopters of this pandemic, if you will. Like we were hit before anyone else. And so I feel like I'm in the new normal now while everybody else is kind of adjusting to it. I've just like had a client week and all of my clients are scrambling like where I was 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, what's the big deal? I've been living like this for a while now. And when this was first happening, I was just seeing, and I'm like, okay, I was seeing like 3 responses online. And it was either like, I'm not going to change anything and I'm not going to say anything about this. And it's business as usual. I'm just going to go ahead with my launch and my funnel and everything is fine. And I'm like, okay, that's really like, you can't do that. Like everything has shifted. The economy is changing. People are scared. And then there's this pendulum shift on the other way where there's this panic and everybody's like, I'm going to do all this stuff for free. Like, let me give you value. Let me give you value. Oh my gosh, here's this value. Oh my gosh, please remember me. And I'm like, all right, slow down, like take a deep breath.
Yep.
And so my initial post was really about, I saw also a lot of shoulding on people, like you should just give all your stuff away for free, or you shouldn't be selling at all, or, be sure you're selling, but do it with care. And I'm like, okay, let's slow down for a second. Let's take a deep breath. And let's figure out what the best way is for you, because none of us have been here before. Like, it's not like when we had the 1918 pandemic, we had online businesses and somebody has a template for this, right? Like, there is no template. There is no one who can guide you. So first, like, I wanted people to be aware that you've got to take care of yourself first. Like, you are your business's biggest asset. So how are you feeling? How are you sleeping? Do you have the things you need in your house? How can you take care of your own mental health? Like, because I was having a real stress and trauma response for the first few days of this in Seattle. And I really couldn't do much. And I was addicted to my phone and Twitter and all the things like you should not do during this. Like the endless scrolling on the phone was not great for me. And then once you kind of figure out how you can take care of you in a healthy way and you get like your household prepared, then you can think, okay, how, like, I need to like look at my bank, like how much money do I have on hand? Are leads still coming in? Like, how healthy is my business right now? When do I need to start selling again? Because it's not a matter if you need to sell during this pandemic, it's when do I need to start selling again? Because this thing is going to come in waves. If it's anything like the pandemics we've seen in the past, it's most likely going to let up during the summer, come back with a vengeance in the fall. So it's not going anywhere, and it's hitting the country in different waves. Like Seattle will probably be through this before the rest of the country. But so we have to figure out when is the best time, and then figure out, okay, what about my message needs to change? How do I want to show up in my marketing? How can I serve my clients best right now? Do I need to create a new offer that I can sell in a different way, or I can serve in a different way and not be in reaction? And so for me, that's what I want people to stop reacting and start really like leading with intention. Because for me, I don't see this as I see this as a great reset. Like, I feel like we are at the beginning of a reset of the business industry, probably our whole society, but the playing field is going to level. And the people who were the industry leaders before, well, their automated funnels aren't going to work. They're going to actually have to learn how to build relationships with actual human beings. And so it's not going to be like, I can just run ads and make all this money. So the game is going to change. And so you as a business owner have to figure out, how do I want to lead my business and my audience through this? And now is the time to do it, instead of being like, what's the free thing I can offer everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I've seen both those reactions. I've seen, saw one company who had a book launch. I'm not going to name names, but they have a very big affiliate network. And so they're doing a big book launch, and a lot of the stuff just looks exactly like it would have looked before. Some of that's on the affiliates themselves. Some of that's on the promoter for not changing the tone.
Yes.
It's almost like it's just business as usual. Nothing's happened.
Right. Yeah.
And
which feels a little,
people
feels weird, right?
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not someone that panics, you're thinking, do you even know what's going on? I mean, because you can't avoid it. I mean, it's regardless of what your
at least acknowledge it and say,
right,
hey, we know there's a lot going on. There's a lot of uncertainty. That's why we think this is whatever, valuable, resourceful, whatever. Like tie it together, put a, show why this is now. Like, I think one company that did a pretty good job in an email I got, they're kind of on the other end of the pendulum, but the way they did it was pretty good. Was Digital Marketer. So they sent out an email. They had already planned on like canceling part of taking something out of their Digital Labs subscription, which was just terrible timing because they'd already queued up the email and all that kind of stuff and forgot about it.
Oh dear.
So he sent out a kind of follow-up email apologizing. And then they made the labs open till the end of March to anybody that wants it, with no upsells, no nothing, anything like that. And then they would reevaluate at the end of the month. But they gave a good reason why you might want to go ahead and do that. That even though, so that you can take this time where you're at home and start preparing for the next thing. And I think that's a good plan, because if people get in there and they like the stuff and they feel like they're learning, they're going to want to keep it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a try it free for 14 days offer is really what it is. But with a very strong emotional tie to what's going on.
Yeah, because I've seen the same thing. Like, I see someone doing an affiliate launch for like a $3,000 course, and this person isn't pivoting. Her affiliates are pivoting the messaging, but then you look at the landing page for like the opt-in and there's no mention of it. And I'm like, who's going to buy a $3,000 course right now? I'm like, what alternate universe is somebody going to be like, hey, we're on the brink of not only maybe a recession, but probably a depression of our economy. Absolutely. I think I'm going to spend $3,000 learning some nice to have skill.
Right.
Yeah. If you can't,
that's kind of like on the back burner.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to pay the bills right now,
Yeah. Like, I can see people, I mean, personally, my business is doing very well. And
Right.
I sell a very high touch service, but it's a service I'm selling. Like, I'm in your business with you. It's not this course that you're consuming. And my services are on the same price point as the course. Like, you would probably want somebody in your business with you versus like on-demand course. Like, so I think business models need to shift. And I think it's tone deaf just to go forward with a launch like that, because I don't know how you think that's going to be successful right now.
Yeah, I think not acknowledging it is a problem. I'm not so sure that some of the same things won't still be successful. Courses will still be successful because I think there's a lot of people who are now going to shift how they work, and they're going to need to learn new skills that we take for granted, especially in the marketing space. You got a whole world of corporate people that are now going to take a really hard look at working from home. Some
but
by
I think there's
some
going
by
to be
choice,
some
some
skills.
by demand.
Like some skills they'll want to learn, and others I think are going, like the course that I have in mind. It's a very like nice to have when you're further along in your business. It's not like a how to build your business course.
Okay. That's fair.
It's very much a like, once you're established and you want more. Yeah, I don't want to even talk because as soon as I say it, people will know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's like no one's going to pay that amount of money for something that is it literally kind of a frivolous expense at this point in time.
Unless you can tie your message into why they need to in times like this, I think and it may be difficult for some people, but let me share an example of some things that I've done this week. Cause I work with a lot of manufacturers. And one of the things that's going on right now is I do a lot of consulting and sales with manufacturing companies, and they've closed. A lot of them are not taking visitors right now. So I'm not traveling. I'm not meeting with a lot of my clients face to face, which I do. That's a big part of my business. But instead, one of the things that I've done this week is I produced 2 podcasts within my industry, within my manufacturing industry that I serve. And one of the things I've been doing this week is sending out like emails to manufacturers, because what's happened is because of this COVID-19, a lot of trade shows have been completely canceled. So that's a big part of what their advertising is like being at these trade shows. Thankfully, a lot of these companies are being refunded a lot of the money that they put into a lot of these trade shows out there. So what I'm doing is reaching out to them and saying, listen, I know travel is going to be sparse over the next couple of months. Here's something that you can do. And I'm reaching out to them about being a sponsor on a podcast, spending some of their advertising, and not as much as they would at a trade show. They could get some value back out of that by being on the, being a sponsor of the podcast. So they're getting their message out to their customers, out to their customer base through that medium. But I'm using the message of, hey, here's a solution for you, and it's not as expensive, and it's going to help you in the long run, because we know that there's not a whole lot of things you can do right now because of the situation that you're in.
No, I think that's a great way to serve. And I also see like my friends and clients who are like coaches and therapists. Their businesses are booming right now because people are under stress. They're in a lot of uncertainty. And so their businesses are actually skyrocketing because people need help. And so like a few of my clients are like really worried. They're like, well, nobody's going to want to pay for coaching. And I'm like, oh, no. You don't understand. Like what you do is actually really needed, because we are in these uncertain times and people are frightened. They're in stress responses. They're in trauma responses. They need your help. So if you let them know you're out there and that you can help them navigate this and come up with solutions for them on how to navigate this, they will gladly pay you for that service, because it's how they're going to take care of themselves over the next few months. And when you approach it like that, people are like, oh yes, I will gladly help pay you. Like, thank you for coming up with this solution. I didn't think of that before.
Yeah, and I think that's the key message that has the kind of the golden thread that has to run through everybody's message is, let me help you sort through the madness.
Yes.
And let me help you find a way to get to adapt to the new normal, if this is new normal. You know, and obviously while we're in it, it's always worse while you're in the beginning of it, in the middle of it, whatever, you know, because the recency bias of it and all the cognitive triggers that are being fired right now is just unbelievable. So I'm not ready quite yet to say it's the new normal. Like, it will be for a while for sure. I'm just not sure that it's forever, but consumer sentiment, just like it does in the stock market, has definitely shifted. And people are panicked right now. So even if you're calm as a business owner, as a coach, consultant, whatever, you've got to understand that most of the public is not. Most of the public is freaking out still.
Right.
Yes.
They're probably drinking beer on a 130, but not for the same reasons. You know?
Not exactly.
That's true. I actually saw I had a regularly scheduled checkup this morning with my doctor, and he, I was asking the alcohol question, and I said, "Oh, I'm actually drinking less these days." And he's like, "You are probably my only patient who has said that to me."
Yeah. All the grocery stores here deliver wine and beer in Texas. So, and now the restaurants can too, apparently. Like, they can actually deliver mixed drinks now. So that's scary. Oh. But that was the governor passed.
See?
Of all the laws that we needed to pass, that was the one that he passed. Is like, hey,
get you drunk at home.
Yeah. Numb out. Please don't pay attention to what we're doing. We'll take care of you.
Numbing behaviors.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of that. So I think it's really critical to modify your message to fit the time. So I guess, Michelle, the question is, how do we do that? Are there some kind of big things to look at? Do you have a 3-step process for this? A 12-step process?
A 3-word process?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say, if you have a 3-word rebellion, you probably don't need to modify that unless it has the word viral or virus in it, then probably. Or the word pandemic. Might want to get rid of that kind of wording. But I would say overall, just kind of look at what you're putting out into the world right now. So look at if you have any autoresponders set up. Does anything need to change in that first and foremost to be more sensitive?
That's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of that rudimentary check, just go into your ConvertKit or whatever you're using and just go through it and be like, okay, does anything really need to change in here to be more reflective of the times? The second thing I would look at is, the content that you've already batched out. Do you need to put a bumper in front of it, a little intro saying hey, this was recorded before all of this happened and it's still relevant because A, B, and C. So do you need to preface it? Do you need to pull it and record something else? I've had a few people I've seen do that. I'm actually going to put a bumper on a podcast that I'm putting out next week. So is there any tweaks you need to make in that way? Do you need to turn off any of your social media automations? Because I know we have Meet Edgar and everything else. So is there anything that you need to turn off because it's insensitive to have it on? Is there any ads you need to turn off or turn back on because maybe there's something you should be offering? So those kind of just I almost think of it as hygiene. Is there anything insensitive that I'm putting out into the world that I need to pull back on right now?
It's almost like there needs to be, this would be a great lead magnet right now. You could do an audit, because there's so many things, especially if you've been doing business for a while online, there's so many things that are automated that you've already forgotten about, especially the details of it. The Meet Edgars, the autoresponders, maybe ads that are doing really well, or we're doing really well.
Might be tanking.
They might be tanking, or they might still be just doing fine, but they don't have that. They're not going to be congruent as you go down the funnel because of the changes. So there's a lot of stuff that's running automatically, processes, copy, all this other kind of stuff that that's the kind of stuff that needs a little bit of an audit in this time. I think that's a really great point.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that stuff out there.
Yeah. And then the second thing that I did was I asked myself, like, what policies could I change to better serve my clients right now? So one of the things I did was I dropped all of my rescheduling policies for my one-on-one clients, because I know they have their kiddos at home, they have their hubbies at home, they might get sick. I also let them know, like, hey, this is going to be what happens if I get sick. Like, you'll either hear from me or you'll hear from my husband, and this is going to be the rescheduling policy if that happens. So they knew what would happen. I also, since I offer an implementation period after they finish their one-on-one work with me, so I extended that by 2 weeks just to be more generous, because I know things might be slower for them. So, like, how can you be more generous, more supportive of your clients, and communicate that, and communicate, like, this is what happens, like, if you get sick, this is what happens if I get sick, this is what happens if Zoom gets overloaded and we can't get on together, just so that they know that you're thinking ahead and thinking about them, so that you're being proactive in your communication. I think it's really important that we take good care of our people right now, and just ask them if there's anything else you can help them with. Like, how can I help you right now? Like, let me know. Just right. I mean, most of my clients didn't take me up on that, but I just put it out there. If there's anything else they need, just to, like, let me know about it. But like, how can we be generous and communicate that towards our clients? And then the third thing to start thinking about is there something new that you can start offering to bring in additional revenue? Because especially if you're doing more high touch services, or if you're in the speaking industry or event planning industry or trade industry, like, what else can you offer people to generate revenue? Because that was the first thing my brain went to. I'm like, oh, I offer really high touch services. Is there anything else I can do to help and be of service at this time that could be at a lower price point that could really help people? Because, like, I'm really strategic and really good at messaging. So I'm putting together like a basic offer that'll probably be around $500, where I'm like, let's go in, let's triage your messaging and figure out like a 30-day marketing plan.
I like that.
Yeah. So how could you generate some revenue, like, especially if things are getting lean for you?
Yeah, I like that. Especially coming up with other things, because I think it may be uncomfortable, but a lot of businesses are going to have to start doing something or adding something else to their repertoire.
Yes.
Because some of the things that have worked aren't going to work, at least in the short term.
And that could be really fun, though. Like,
yeah, it could. Can I share an example? This is a company that I talked to earlier this week. They do a lot of apps. They're kind of an app developer, but based out of San Francisco. So the reason I interviewed them on one of my podcasts this week, because one of the things they're doing during this time is they've developed one of these, it's like a remote access using virtual technology, VR. And so, one of the problems in the industries that I serve is that people, it's like travel restriction. So you can't visit a lot of your manufacturing clients, and a lot of suppliers can't visit their customers during times like this. But so I interviewed this company, and they actually just recently launched this app, and they realized, well, it was really a luck of the draw. It's not like they planned this, because it just happens that the times that we're in right now opened a perfect opportunity for it. But it's basically a virtual access where somebody uses like a virtual headset, and they can be like in time at that facility, while the manufacturing company on the other end, they have like a 360 camera. So a lot of times we're in person, a person is needed to be at the facility to do some consulting work, or kind of look around the plant floor and things like that. They're able to provide this technology straight from their home. So So I interviewed the
awesome.
company this week, and they were like, yeah, this is one of the things that we started pushing really hard because we realized there was an opportunity for this. And prior, it was just a way to reduce the expense of travel. Now it's like, it's beyond just reducing expensive travel. Now it's just like, it's a necessity because people can't travel. So it's like, okay, I'm going to put you right there in somebody else's plant using this technology to look around
So
and
smart.
to do consulting work. So it was like, that's amazing. So immediately, you know, I had them on my show this week and interviewed them, got their message out. So I was trying to, like, in talking to them, because it's a startup company out of San Francisco and they've done some other work, but I was trying to help them, like, you know, cause they're coming up, and I think this is a great episode as an example, coming up with a 3-word rebellion. What are you trying to accomplish during this time? And so one of the things they sent me, and I want to read this to you, Michelle, because I want to get your take on it. So one of the things they sent me, it was a headline. It was a media sheet, and they sent it over to me before the podcast, and like, take a look at this, please, and tell us what you think. So the headline says, "Solution to Coronavirus Travel Restrictions." So that's like, okay, I get it, but I mean, that's kind of bland, but
that's like a public service announcement.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
It feels
It's
like,
not really a good 3-word rebellion headline. So I'm like, yeah, that could probably be worked on. So maybe, you know.
Yeah, it's like, because you'd want something like more intriguing about being like
I would ask a question.
Being the eyes into into the space when you can't be there. Like, obviously that's way too wordy, but you know, like,
that same place I was going. I was like, be with your customers when you can't, or something like, there's something there about being there without being there. Virtual. I had a newsletter one time that I called the Silent Salesman. And it was like a newsletter that people could send out to their customers.
Yeah.
So that they're going into people's homes, and the newsletter does the selling. You know, so maybe there's like a virtual repairman, a virtual consultant, a virtual, like, I don't know, but you know,
something. Cause I mean, it's such a, and like, great luck, like, great timing for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. That's what I said. I'm like, did you guys plan this? And I'm like, no, we actually developed this late last year, and it was just another means of helping, you know, companies reduce travel, or reduce the travel expense. Now it's just a coincidence that this is more important than ever right now.
It's like that. It's like we all stepped in that movie, that George Clooney movie, and where he's flying around doing the layoffs and stuff, and then they started doing it virtually. That's a
great movie.
That's the movie we're all in right now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think, you know, a little bit off topic, but I think one of the biggest things that's going to come out of here, there's 2 big things I think will come out of here. Virtual and augmented reality will take a huge leap in funding and breakthroughs, as will the second thing will be broadband rollout.
Oh yeah.
We'll get some serious backing as well, because if you're going to have all this virtual heavy processing video type stuff,
oh my gosh, yes,
you're going to have broadband to every corner, you know, of every home, because people are working from home more. All those employers that were resistant to work from home are going to see that they can survive and actually maybe even be more productive. And they're going to be like, oh, I guess we don't need a 500,000 square foot office tower. You know, maybe we can
don't need
just
that overhead.
Maybe we can just give people a laptop instead, you know, or whatever. So those will be some big changes. I want to get back to a couple of things. We kind of covered, should you sell and market during the pandemic? The answer was yes. Just do it with some tact and some and some service.
You're gonna have to, like, if you want your business to survive, like, it's not like this crisis is gonna end anytime soon. In fact, it's probably gonna come in waves. So you're gonna have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and we could and depending on I think another thing is to really know. To me, this pandemic is gonna hit the service industry harder than like just typical corporate America. Whereas the recession in 2008 hit everybody across the board.
Yes.
It was pretty equal opportunity destroyed everything. This is kind of a bottom up thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the hospitality service industry, not not regular service. It's more the hospitality. That level is going to has already gotten wiped out. So you just have to know like where on that spectrum is your clients. You may not need to change as much if they're, IT professionals or IT providers that are going to have a pretty steady job and maybe more work, maybe whatever. But if they're servers or Uber drivers or a lot of the lower I don't want to say lower tier, that's just rude, but those types of jobs, that whole
the hospitality waiters,
trade show industry, like we talked about, event coordinators, wedding
speakers,
planners,
wedding planners,
all those kind of things, caterers, restaurateurs, all that stuff. Speaking of restaurants, while we were talking about other things, restaurants could start doing virtual cooking classes. They can't all do it, but the savvy ones could certainly set up a camera in their kitchen and be the go-to, be the positive, the one that's making lemonade out of lemons type restaurant in your town and still do takeout and those kind of things. Because most of ours are still allowing takeout.
Yeah, all of ours are allowing takeout here. Yeah. Like you can.
I know so far that people haven't really made the switch yet because they were all hoarding groceries. So
I'm like, we're ordering takeout tonight because I'm so sick of eating whatever we have in the house. I'm all like, we're doing takeout.
Yeah, so I think you'll see that kind of curve back up a little bit for the restaurant owners, but that's not going to really help the servers and the valet people and all that stuff. But yeah,
I talked to this week. I talked to a local. They're like an IT or it's like a tech company. They just service people's computers. And it's just a local place where I usually I drop off my computer and they called me this week and just asking, which I was like, I was very appreciative. They called me just making sure everything's good. But it's a good company, but I was just asking them some questions on how they were responding to everything. And they're like, we've never did on-service delivery or on-service repair. But we're all of a sudden this week, we've added that into our service options. Prior to this, people just dropped it off.
Yes. So now they're
having to rethink things.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So the third thing I wanted to talk to you about, Michelle, was I just saw this on one of your posts. You talked about how flatten the curve is a great 3-word rebellion. So I'd love to hear what makes that a good 3-word rebellion? And let's just kind of unpack that. So it's just a good, and I think the government is actually really good at this kind of stuff.
Actually, that's like a term from epidemiology. And I didn't realize that. It's so funny. It took me a few days, because we were all going through the stuff in Seattle and I kept hearing about flatten the curve. And then finally I was like, what does that mean? And then I was like, wait a minute, that's a 3-word rebellion. I was like, because number one, it's creating that intrigue because you don't know what it means right away. You go flatten the curve. Ooh, what does it mean to flatten the curve? And how do I help flatten the curve? Which is exactly what you want a 3-word rebellion to do, is to have it intrigue you, right? Open that intrigue loop in your head of what does that mean? What does it mean for me?
Yeah. So, what is this curve you speak of?
Yeah. And what can I do to flatten it? What's my part in that? So I was like, brilliant. And it's an active, it's a rallying cry. It's that battle cry. I'm going to flatten the curve. Yes. Yeah.
Let's big hammer and just smash it like sledgehammer,
Yes. We're going to do this together. I mean, it's an unusual saying, right? It sticks out because you don't normally see flatten and curve together. So it just sticks out in your mind and it's a great hashtag. So all of those things together make it a great 3-word rebellion. I'm
easy to spell.
Easy to spell, great hashtag, very sticky. And it does make you want to click the link and learn more because the first time I saw it, it was linked to a Google Doc and it had all these steps you could take to flatten the curve. And I remember because next week I was supposed to go to Palm Springs for a mastermind event. And so in the mastermind group, like I was the first person to back out because I'm in Seattle and we didn't know what it was going to be like. And it was supposed to hit. We've done a pretty good job of flattening the curve because like our cases of COVID-19 have gone up about 100 to 200 a day, and they're not doubling like they were supposed to, because originally they thought like 100 to 200 to 400, but we're not doing that. Thank God. So I was like, I'm not going. Like, I'm not getting on a plane. I'm going to flatten the curve. And because I started talking about flatten the curve, the woman running the mastermind Googled what that meant. And she was like, oh, I need to flatten the curve. So she read about it and was like, oh, I should probably cancel this. So it was actually very persuasive for her.
Yeah.
And changed her. I mean, she would have been forced to cancel the event anyway, but at this point, but to help her make the decision. So it was a great way to disseminate the information. So, I mean, it just really shows you the power of a good 3-word rebellion to disseminate information, how everybody can rally behind this weird epidemiological, like, concept, but that it can really go mainstream, and people are like, flatten the curve, stay at home. And I mean, even when our governor is sitting there talking about it and saying it over and over and over again in his press conferences, we're all like, yeah, flatten the curve, man.
Yeah. I think what's really cool about that is I hear you talking about it. And when you said, like, I didn't know that's where it came from, is epidemiology, and that like it's a kind of a known term there. But I think that's a good thing to point out, is that a lot of times that 3-word rebellion you're looking for is buried in your processes. It's buried in something you already have written or done or something else. You know, it's like, it doesn't have to be this new thing that you put on a whiteboard and mix and match words, which you do that if you're getting close and it's not quite the right words, but it may just be laying there in your stuff.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about it is it's like you can show it visually too, because I think that's been the big problem, is that people, because you've seen, I don't know if you've seen the memes about like Gen Xers versus boomers and millennials, because boomers are like, oh, I'm just going to go out anyway. And millennials are like, oh, well, I don't feel bad, so I can go out. And it's like, but the thing is, it's not about us going out and living our lives because it's not going to be that bad. It's about overwhelming our medical system. Yeah. And so like when you see that graphic and you see that if we don't flatten the curve, our medical system is literally going to crumble and people will die because the medical system crumbles. And I'm like, that's why you flatten the curve. That's, you know, and I'm like, it's just, I mean, it just, you know, describes the phenomenon so beautifully. And so I'm, you know, I'm thinking now boomers are at least catching up a little bit with why they need to stay home. I see a lot of my Gen X friends really frustrated with their 70-year-old parents who are like, I'm still going to go to Mexico on my vacation. And they're like, no, you're going to die. Like, please stay home. Just don't go. Please stay home.
Yeah, so maybe it's a conspiracy theory to cut Social Security costs. There's so many conspiracy theories out there right now. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
So, I know. I've heard people call it the boomer remover.
Jonathan.
That's clever. That's clever.
I know. I'm all like, oh, it's just the boomer remover.
I'm not a boomer, although my kids call me a boomer.
Yeah. Nobody knows about us Gen Xers. We're like just quietly sandwiched between these two warring generations.
Although the Gen X memes have been great because
they've been
it's
good,
all like, because it's all about how Gen Xers, we've been prepared for this.
Yeah, we
we're
trained
like the
for this.
Latchkeys kids.
Yeah,
and
we watched all those cool movies back in the late 90s. What was it like?
Red Dawn.
Red
Dawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
It was like
prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Contagion and
yeah, we're ready. We can live
like
on
the
Pop-Tarts
one with
and
Bruce
cat
Willis
food.
where they're trying to save the world from being destroyed by a comet. You know, hey man, we've been prepping for this for a long time, thanks to Hollywood.
Yeah, we were hoping for like World War III, but like, okay, this
But this works.
We'll
We're
take it.
ready.
This works.
We,
We're
we,
ready.
can, we can sit inside and watch Netflix and do nothing. That's what our childhood was about.
exactly.
We were
Yeah.
we were the generation that was kind of freaked out with Y2K, and we're like, okay, it didn't happen, but you know,
But it didn't
Yeah.
happen because computer programmers made sure it didn't happen.
Right. It's one of those things like, did they do anything or did they just
Yeah.
get nice checks that year? Because like,
No, my computer programmer friends said that they did quite a bit. So
they did a lot of work. I had a
Yeah.
guy, I remember the company I was working with back in 99. There's this one guy in this office all day, all year, just going through every line of code. He'd come out with this stack of paper every once in a while and show it to the boss. And then he'd go back in his hole and keep typing for
Mhm.
a year. And then he didn't have anything to do the next year, but oh well.
he did
So,
his
yeah.
job. We're safe.
So Michelle, what's your biggest kind of takeaway and biggest piece of advice to people as we kind of right now where we're at and just as we move through this? Obviously, nobody knows when and how it's going to end.
Yeah.
It will end. We just don't
It
know when
will.
and how.
I mean, everything ends, everything changes. And that sounded like everything ends.
Everything ends. In a world where everything ends.
I know. In a world where everything ends. I can tell I haven't drank for a while.
Perfect.
And, yeah, no, doing well. No.
Everything's not feeling really good for Corona beer right now, so maybe we can come up with a 3-word.
Maybe they should just rebrand, come up with a new brand.
Not that Corona.
Not that.
I would say, don't be reactive. Figure out what your best next move is. Like, don't slash the prices of your current services. Offer something new, figure out how you want to pivot your message, and really look at this as a great opportunity to step into leadership. How do you want to lead your business? How do you want to lead your industry? How do you want to lead your audience? And do it with intention and not the weird free panic we're seeing. I mean, I feel like that free frenzy will probably die away in a couple of weeks because nobody can keep that up, and people are, I don't know how much people are paying attention to that anyway.
No, I wouldn't. If somebody's offering something free, I'm ignoring it because
it
cheapens
just, well, and it also just you can almost feel that desperation, that energy of like scarcity and desperation. And, this is a great time to create something new. And that is that you can offer, that you can bring to the market that can really be of service.
Mm-hmm.
So we're entrepreneurs and business owners. We are here to solve problems. So lean into that. Use your creativity to really step into your own leadership instead of freaking out. Like, freak out in private, freak out to your spouse, freak out to your cat, freak out to your kids, but don't bring that onto social media.
Right. Because
so
they're not doing anybody a service by commoditizing, because they start cutting their prices.
So race to the bottom.
Yeah, it's a race to the bottom. So they commoditize everything and it hurts everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So instead of cutting prices, what I'm hearing, one option would be to add more value. If you feel like you need to do something, add an extra call if it's a group coaching program.
Yeah.
Where people can just vent or talk or whatever.
Yeah. Add more access to you. And, like, I use Voxer for coaching with me. So people can like walkie-talkie me anytime, leave me messages, and I can get back to them. And it's like we're having a conversation. So there's lots of ways that you can add extra value to your services if you want to add a little extra because they need support, but don't slash prices. I mean, if you want to offer something that's lower tiered, create something new. Like, just make a new offer, but do it with intention and make sure it aligns with the rest of your business.
Yeah. One of my clients, we did, we offered basically how to survive or how to take advantage of the stock market during this, right? Because it's a business type group.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
it could be a standalone product on its own, but we just gave it away to the people that were in our paid group and just our paid group only. We didn't put it out there free to everybody. You know, give it to the people who are already paying, make them want to hang out with you during this, because you're, like you said, you're showing leadership, you're showing calmness, rationale, being rational, all those things. Because that's what people are looking for right now. They're
looking for leadership.
Yep. And certainty and calmness, steadiness, because that's what's missing in the world. So how can your business be that void? Because somebody's going to fill it, and somebody in your market is going to fill it.
And it might as well be you.
Right. Well, Michelle, we have a rule on the podcast that when we run out of beer, we're out of the show. And we both have like one sip left, I think. So I saw you turn that can up pretty high, so I think you're almost done as well.
I've had 2. Yeah. So Jason hit the fridge, man.
Cheers.
But this has been fun. We've been talking for a while, but how can people learn more about you? And
so I'm at drmichellemazur.com. One of the best places to reach me is Instagram is my major home these days. So you can always DM me. I'm at Dr. Michelle Mazur there. And if you want to learn more about the 3-Word Rebellion, that's 3wordrebellion.com.
And that's also a book, right? Available.
Yeah, I have a book called The 3-Word Rebellion that's available on Amazon for like $13.99. So if you want to pivot your message, this is a good time to do that reflection
That's
now.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
That's a great book.
The curve.
Flatten the curve, man.
Yeah.
And wash your hands, which is not a 3-word rebellion, but just do it anyway.
Just do it anyway.
It kind of is right now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, wash your hands. Wash your hands, people.
It shouldn't be a 3-word rebellion, but it kind of is right now. So
I know.
Jason asked if you're on Facebook. What is your?
Yeah, I am on Facebook too.
Okay.
Yep, she's got the Dr. Michelle Mazur locked down on all social media profiles.
Oh yeah, I'm Dr. Michelle Mazur pretty much on all social media.
Yeah,
perfect. I was just seeing how I could link up and maybe share some of your stuff. So
where's that voice coming from?
I would flip my screen, but I'll knock over a beer can.
Yeah, that's a desktop, so let's not do that. It's not your MacBook.
All right, Michelle, we enjoyed it. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we look forward to getting this out. Hopefully, you can join us again soon.
Yes, I'd love that
episode. Yeah, because it'd be fun to kind of like see how all this plays out in here in the next 3 months. You know, we may be talking back during the summer again. We can have you on.
Yes.
Who knows what we'll be looking? I mean,
we may be laughing at all this. Who knows?
I know. Maybe it'll be fine, or maybe I have no idea.
Sean and I may have changed this to whiskey persuasion by the whiskey pint.
That's a lot of whiskey, man.
By the bottle.
Yeah.
Persuasion by the bottle.
Persuasion by the bottle.
The 5th, right? Persuasion by the 5th.
Persuasion by the 5th.
Well, Jonathan, I'll let you take us out.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks again, Michelle. We really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the conversation with you. And as always, for our listeners out there, you can find us over at Persuasion by the Pint. Find us on any of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, any platform that you access. You can find us there. Just do a quick search. And again, we look forward to getting this out here in a couple of days to all of our listeners. Sean, it's been fun. And until next episode.
See ya.
All right. That's a wrap.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And I can tell, I literally can tell I haven't had like a beer in like weeks. I'm like, woo! As the show went on.
Well, shows get better as we drink more.
Yeah. We should do like a marathon one Friday.
I know, but like I'm gonna go get another beer. Woo!
We'll just have like
a contest.
Yeah, we'll have like 6 people on.
Occasionally we have a little whiskey. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm not my husband really likes whiskey. I'm not as much of a whiskey drinker. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a clear alcohol kind of girl.
Yep.
Tequila, vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rum,
gin, any of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all right. We just won't invite you on for those.
Well, thanks. Fine.
It's like bringing an IPA onto a beer show.
I know.
Or-
There's nothing worse.
Or a root beer.
You know,
Or
like,
root beer. I was
like
about to
the
say,
West
man,
Coast
you beat me
loves
to
their IPA. Like that's
Oh, I
like the
know.
real beer here. Like
I know. Same here
Well,
in
it
Austin.
is. It's just some people don't acknowledge it.
It's just a trend. It'll pass.
Hey,
I hope
I
so.
was drinking these way before it was cool.
Do you know how we'll finish with this? Like, I mean, we've already stopped the recording, but YouTubes are still watching.
Oh, good.
Um,
Because I want people to hear
actually
this. I
think
know what you're
what
going to
he's
say.
going to ask, and I think I know.
yeah. So, Michelle, do you know the origin of IPAs?
they're from India, right? Like
Yeah.
they were like the shit beer in India.
Yeah.
Well, no. The
Yes,
reason
yes,
they
yes.
tasted
Awesome.
that way was
They're spoiled.
exactly, and
Yes.
as they
It's sour
along
beer.
travel to get it, that was the only way they could make it to survive the journey. And then this part I'm a little murky on, but supposedly as the travel, as time went on, it became less hoppy and more quote unquote normal or whatever.
The beer is also murky. So,
It is that it is.
yeah,
I'm
it's
manly enough
basically
to take it
sour.
unfiltered, but
It's basically sour green beer,
Oh,
Sour
Yeah.
green beer.
So put your
That's nothing but
Budweiser.
imperialism right there, sending
Yeah.
bad beer to India.
no comment on that.
excellent.
So it's like putting Budweiser in the fridge for like 6 months and then
Just
drinking it.
letting it go to shit. And
I can
then,
personally tell you that no, that's not the case. Conceptually, yes, but in practice, no. Two very different things.
Oh my God, that's so
Okay.
funny. All right.
I bought an IPA this week by mistake.
Oh man,
and I'm
sorry.
ashamed, but it was actually not bad with a little pizza. So,
Yeah. Did you dip the pizza in it? Or-
well, the sauce in the pizza, it was
Ah,
offset because the sauce had a little sweetness to it, and this
Oh.
kind of offset it. So it wasn't bad.
Okay. Look
That
at you being
works.
all chefy.
Yeah.
Pairing your foods and drinks. So,
Fancy.
all right. Well,
Thanks, Michelle. We enjoyed
You're
it.
welcome. I'll see you guys later.
Until next time.
Bye.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Stop our live